we're going to finish, the plan is the cycle for the dark stage. So we do that part. And when we did respiration, we had a thing about oil rig. Oxidation is loss, reduction is gain. And we also have a similar sentence when we do the dark stage or the light independent stage. Now, we have done this top half. We have done using water and light in our light dependent. We made ATP and NADPH for our dark stage, and we release oxygen into our atmosphere. And now we are going to talk about the dark stage. In terms of pathways, it is so much easier than the light stage because of the level of detail that we do in it for Leaving Cert. So we've said this earlier, but we'll just repeat it. So it can be called the dark stage, it can be called the light independent stage, or it can be called the Calvin cycle. So usually it is these two are the things. It's the dark stage, and what's the alternative name? Light independent stage. This would be the top answer. So it can occur in daylight, but it doesn't need light. So that's like glycolysis can occur in the presence of oxygen, but doesn't need oxygen to occur. And we've said it takes place in the stroma. And just to highlight this here now, so the stroma is the liquid portion of your chloroplast. It is controlled by enzymes, so therefore temperature will have an effect on the rate. So this is linking back to the enzyme chapter that we did at the beginning of the year. Okay, is it okay to change my screen and we start drawing? I can see nearly all heads. Okay, so my white is black. So we're going to start up here and we are going to say NADPH. So can someone remind me what NADPH's job is usually?
Purify electrons and protons.
Yeah, so it is now going to supply electrons and protons. That's going to be its job. Okay, once it has let go of its electrons and protons, it has now made NADP+, and that's going to go back to your light stage so that it can pick up some more electrons and protons.
Miss.
Yeah.
Miss, can you please move down the sound thing because it's covering the diagram?
Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah, thanks.
I think the issue now is the size of the screen. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, no, but the problem was my mouse was over it. Sorry. Okay, so we've done that. We then are going to look at ATP. So what is ATP's job? Anyone going to help me? Say it again.
Supplier of energy.
It is a supplier of energy, so it's going to supply energy for our dark stage. And I can't see what color I've done this in. So I am going to go for green, just to make it different. So the last thing that we have to talk about is carbon dioxide, because that's our last reagent from our... So if you think about our equation is 6H2O. I'm just writing this so you can see it. 6CO2 goes to C6H12O6 plus 6 oxygen, and we have put light and chlorophyll over our arrows. So in terms of things that we've already dealt with, we've talked about the photolysis of water, so that's gone. We've talked about light exciting our electrons. We obviously have the chlorophyll for our pigment clusters. We have talked about the production of oxygen and where that goes. So these are the only 2 things that are left now in our that we need to talk about in the dark stage. So can anyone remind me, where is carbon dioxide coming from?
Atmosphere.
Is one, and where's the second? I'm just going to move this. Where's the second?
Respiration.
Yep, so we're just going to put a little ATM up here and a little respiration down here. And we are going to go arrow in and arrow in. So this is going to be our carbon dioxide. Now carbon dioxide for this is a source of carbon. Obviously there is hydrogen and oxygen there, but in terms of elements that it needs to do the dark stage, it is a source of carbon. Now I don't have any different color pen, so I'm just going to finish mine in yellow. So once we have electrons and protons supplied, once we have energy supplied, and once we have our source of carbon, all of those things together really simply combine to make a carbohydrate. So we go back to chapter 3 when we did biomolecules, and there is a general formula for carbohydrates. It's the thing with the X's and the Y's. Can anyone remember what that is? No takers? So the dark stage you will make of the general formula CxH2OY. So that's telling you it's making carbohydrate. And as far as we're concerned, that carbohydrate is usually glucose. So it'll be the C6H6O12. C6H12O6. And that is your diagram for the dark stage. So in comparison, it's really easy. Now, over your page, you have a whole load of stuff, lines highlighted in grey for you, but at the bottom of it, there is a sentence that's going to go in, and it's the higher level sentence, and it has to do with the fact that we are adding these electrons. Change my color. So we're adding the electrons and we're adding them to carbon dioxide. Anyone remember what that sentence, or what's the chemistry speak for the fact that you're adding electrons to carbon dioxide?
Reduction.
It is reduction. So can you think of how you might say a sentence? So it's reduction. So carbon dioxide is reduced to what? So
Glucose.
yeah, so it's this weird chemistry thing. As electrons are added to CO2, you can describe that as carbon dioxide. I'm going to write it in words for you. So carbon dioxide is reduced to glucose. And that comes from the oil rig thing. Oxidation is loss, reduction is gain in electrons. So that's where that comes from. So that's going on the bottom, the last sentence before the mandatory practical on page 216, or you can write it underneath your diagram if that floats your boat. Now, do we have any questions on that? No, everyone looks off into the ether. Okay, can I come off that screen then? If we're as content as we can be.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So we are now over the top of page 216 and we're going to try color coordinate it. So I think I'm going to have to use yellow as my just regular pen, and we're going to use red, did we say green, and black, correct? So red for energy, green for carbon dioxide, black for electrons and protons. So the dark stage, it's going to use energy, carbon dioxide, my white is black, electrons and protons, to make CxH2OY, and that is usually glucose, which is C6H12O6. Oh no, so let's change that for you. So energy, ADP return to your light stage, your electrons and protons. So carbon dioxide is the source of carbon. Okay, I'm going to have to go to the top. Or So do we have any questions? Don't all speak at once. Okay, so we have filled in everything on this. There is a QR code on the bottom of page 215, at least on mine. It is, I think it's the Lady the Biology Bugbears. And again, it's just sometimes good to listen to someone else discuss